Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are taking our very first look at the new Tier 7 Pan-European Destroyer, the Split. Now, those of you who watched my ranked battles recently found out that the Tier 6 Destroyer, the Fin Yang, is absolutely busted at its tier. And so I had high hopes coming into this one, that this one would be very good as well, and I have not been disappointed. So let's get into it. First of all, we got our commander, Jerzy Swirsky, and we are running Eric Bay with William Sims for some extra hit points, which are going to come in real handy in the battle you're about to see. Now, the good thing about having a pan-European destroyer with Jerzy Swirsky, same thing with the Germans. If you have Eric Bay as your commander, you get to run Eric Bay, Jerzy Swirsky, and William Sims, giving you the best of both worlds of concealment as well as hit points. And when you're a gunboat DD, having those extra hit points for those tough fights is definitely going to come in handy. Now, we are running Observant Rage. We did swap Mortar off. Mortar gets me spotted a little bit sooner, and I like to have a little bit more detectability or concealment. But if you want to run this, go for it. But I personally prefer the concealment. Perceptive, obviously, you reduce the amount of damage coming in. You also can see torpedoes further away, and it shows the direction to the nearest ship, which also will come in handy in the next video in the video. And then, because we're running the Split, and the Split has a special trait, which is it has radar as a destroyer. It also has smoke and radar as a destroyer, and is a prolific gunboat. These three things add up to stupidity. And then this, on top of it, is a huge little gimmick as well. So, while your main battery reload time, while radar is active, is reduced by 10%. However, that's not the cheese. The cheese is radar duration matches smoke generation action time if the latter is longer. So, something that you can do is radar a destroyer, engage with that destroyer, and then right before your radar runs out, because it's only 10 seconds, hit the smoke screen, and suddenly your radar essentially resets. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. Can be cheesed if you get that opportunity. But yeah, I'm going to use it a little bit later on. But I don't necessarily do it correctly, because that's a lot of thinking to do in the moment. But we are running Unstoppable, obviously, because getting your engine knocked out and not being able to move sucks. And gets you killed way too many times. So definitely have the ability to have reduced mobility while disabled engine is nice. Now, as for our build, we are running Aiming Systems Mod 1. The ship isn't the most accurate. It's not the least accurate, but it's not the most accurate guns in the world. I've got steering gears because you can't have propulsion mod on this ship. And then we've got the concealment module, obviously. And we have main battery mod 3. So main battery mod 3, and we have it epic. Now, people have been asking again, how do you get the purple things, guys? How do you get the purple thing? Well, it's simple. When you go to install your 4th slot, you'll see down in the bottom left-hand corner, it'll tell you to upgrade. You can upgrade that 4th slot module to epic or legendary. We currently have it at epic, which costs 500 steel, and if I wanted to upgrade to legendary, it costs another 2,000 steel. But yeah. Is this the best thing for this particular ship? Probably not, but does it come in handy? Absolutely, and you're going to see that in the battle coming up. But yeah, just for those people that have been wondering. I've had a few people asking about it recently, but there you go. And then, of course, we are fully upgraded. Now, like I said, you can swap out the engine boost for defensive AA, but don't. It's not really worth it. Radar is nasty. Like I said, 8-kilometer radar, so not the best radar, but when it's on a destroyer, you don't need more than 8 kilometers because you're going to be up close and personal, and usually you catch people within 5 kilometers, maybe 5.5 kilometers when you see them. And then, of course, it has a 10-second duration, but because of the cheese, you can actually get it to last longer than that. We are running the Epic Battle Booster to get a little bit more main battery range. That will also come in handy in the match coming up, but also increases our movement speed as well. So keep that in mind when we look at the stats. We're running the Italian Unity flag because if you squint just right, it kind of looks like a Spartan helmet. And we are running the European camo as a permanent camouflage. Okay? So, for specs, with this build, it's not a very healthy destroyer to start with, because we have William Sims on here. It's a tier 7, and it still only has 19,400 hit points with William Sim. However, it's a bit trickier than that, because while it may not have the most hit points in the world, it seems to do a pretty good job of not taking a lot of damage often. So we'll look at the armor later on. I suspect there is shenanigans afoot. But 19,400 hit points, and we have a 140 millimeter 56 caliber Skoda shielded 5 guns. You have 5 single-barreled turrets. Now, one thing I will say about these turrets, they are slow-turning turrets, which is stupid when you think about the fact that they're single-gun turrets. However, it's okay, because generally speaking, you're going to completely overwhelm whatever destroyer you're fighting close quarters anyway, and if you're shooting at anything that's not a destroyer, your guns are pretty much never going to be a problem. But reload time starts at 3.1 seconds with this build, and as you guys know, as we do more damage, they will get a little bit faster than that. But again, 180 degree turn time, 15 seconds. That is abysmal for a destroyer, especially with single barrel turrets. But HE shell maximum damage is a paltry 2,000. But that I say paltry. This is a destroyer. Keep that in mind. And these are 140 millimeter guns. They're not the biggest. They're not the smallest destroyer guns. But they're kind of right there in the middle ground. It's kind of like a, I guess it'd be kind of a 5.5 inch or maybe 6 inch gun. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Somebody will have to do the math and leave it down in the comments below. First person to leave the gun size in inches in the comments and get it correct, I'll pin you. Fire setting chances, though, 10%. Not too bad. Feels a little low at times. We'll showcase that in the battle as well. Torpedo launchers. You got 533 millimeter TR Mark 4s. You get 6 of those that reload in a decent amount of time. It's a minute and 15 seconds, so 75-second reload. Maximum damage, though, is pretty terrible. They are 533 millimeter torps, so 10,700 is your maximum damage, meaning you'll land a lot of torpedoes and still be wondering why you did no damage. 8.5 kilometer range, though, and they are 76 knot screamer torps. They're not the fastest torps, but they are far from being slow. They will definitely get there in a hurry. AA defense, this is why I say don't worry about your AA, your defensive AA, because you have 15 millimeter ZB60 VZ35s. You get 6 of those, doing 23 damage per second, reaching out to just 2 kilometers. And then you have a 40 millimeter Bofors Wizzy 36 that you get 16 of, that do 89 damage per second, reaching out to 3.5 kilometers. So you don't have much AA. So you might as well just like not think about having AA. Maneuverability, though, 42.7 knots maximum speed with a 640 meter turning circle. This turning circle feels much worse than that when you're driving. So keep that in mind. Spartan, you can't drive. It's a boat. Shh. It's a ship. Rudder shift time, 3.4 seconds, so not too shabby. I don't mind that. It's fast enough for what I need. Detectability range by sea is 5.2 kilometers with this build, which, again, when you think about it, is pretty nasty considering it's got an 8-kilometer sonar, or 8-kilometer radar. So you will be well within radar range before you ever get detected. And this is why I build into concealment, because I get to drop on you, and then you can't get away. But detectability by air, 3 kilometers. Guaranteed is always 2. And a detectability while firing in smoke of 2.8 kilometers. Statistics, very small sample size. Only played 3 battles, but I've won 2 out of the 3. In the ranked battles, when we played the Finyang, I think we had an 80% win rate during the ranked season when we switched over to Finyang. So, yeah, pretty nasty little boats. I ain't gonna lie. But main gun accuracy of 51% just bodes to the fact that we're shooting at stuff up close and personal. Torpedo accuracy of 33%. Again, that tells you everything you need to know. Usually my torpedo accuracy is down around 10. So 33% accuracy is pretty nasty for torpedoes. But again, they don't hit that hard. Warships killed average of 2.3. Our average XP is 2,200. And our average damage in this destroyer is 78,000. Again, small sample size, but I'm liking the ship so far. Alright, armor does not appear to be anything special, to be perfectly honest. I thought that there would be a little bit something there, but there's not. It is covered in 19 millimeters of armor. But yeah, I don't know. There's something weird with this armor because I just don't take a lot of damage when people shoot at me all the time. Now, I will say this. The worst beatdown I've taken, and I still killed the guy, was from the Italian destroyer, Cuniberti. He has SAP, and he hurts because there is a lot of freeboard here. Freeboard being the part of the ship that sticks above the waterline, for everybody that doesn't know what freeboard is. But there's a lot of ship to shoot at. So when people shoot at you, they're going to hit. But yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know if maybe I'm just getting lucky and they're hitting like AA mounts or they're hitting the guns or something. But yeah, there's been a lot of people shooting at me that have done very little damage in return for what they're taking. But yeah, overview. Fast, above average maximum movement speed. We talked about that. The thing is pretty quick. It's very nice. It's a nice little flanking ship, which we're going to demonstrate beautifully in the fight coming up. Flare for fire. Equipped with HE shells only. You do not get AP. Remember that. AP would come in handy at times, and we don't have it. But the HE is very good. So keep that in mind as well. Short range, low torpedo range. So we talked about that as well. The low torpedo range for the tier. You got to remember that. Split. In the 1930s, the Yugoslav Navy ordered a large destroyer based on Le Fantasque, named Split after the city where she was built. She was laid down in 1939 and was to be armed with 5 Czechoslovak produced 5.5-inch. Ha! Now nobody gets it. Nobody gets it. I don't have to pin anybody. Never mind. I was right. 5.5-inch guns. When the city of Split was captured by the Italians in 1941, this ship was renamed Spalato. After Italy's capitulation, Yugoslavia resumed work on the ship, completing her with British-American weapons. She entered service in 1959 as the Navy's flagship. So 1959, she was actually built. Isn't that nice? A real ship. But yeah, let's take a look at her. Honestly, I don't hate her. She's not the prettiest destroyer in the world, but she's solid. She's a solid contender. She's not a bad. She's right there middle of the road. She's not ugly. She's not pretty. I do like this European camo on this particular ship. If there was anything that I could gripe about with this ship, it is the freeboard. It does have that classic British sit way out of the water line, or way out of the water sort of feel to it. But let me know what you guys think, and with that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Hotspot, and there are 4 destroyers per team. And I am going to play this the best of my ability as the world's worst destroyer captain. Those of you who didn't watch my ranked battles, you don't know what I'm talking about, but basically I had a teammate call me out and say I was the worst destroyer player in World of Warships Legends. All because I didn't babysit his battleship, and yet I still was 80% win rate in the Finyang. So you guys decide whether or not I'm the worst. But I'm gonna make a pretty good argument for not being the worst destroyer player in this particular battle, despite doing something that I don't necessarily recommend doing in most battles. Okay? It is a carrier game. There are 4 destroyers, there are 2 cruisers, and there are 2 battleships, right? So not a lot of damage to be had in this lobby. Keep that in mind. Now, we are going to sprint up the left flank. We have a destroyer going into that Bravo cap right off the bat, so I don't have to go there. So rather than going into the same location that he is and hoping for the best, I flank. Why? Crossfires. Just because you're in a destroyer doesn't mean you can't set up crossfires. In fact, it actually means the exact opposite. You are the easiest ship to set up crossfires in. Whether it be with your guns or your torps, doesn't matter. But we are going to make an argument for being a pretty solid destroyer captain in this particular fight. Because we are aware. Crazy, I know. I try to bring this up all the time. Pay attention to what's around you. Pay attention to your minimap. Pay attention to what's going on. Right off the bat, you can see somebody's in the Bravo cap with our destroyer, and it's not the cruiser. Though we know one of their cruisers is already spotted here. And it's the Boise. So, what do? We go ahead and we drop our torpedoes into the gap where the Boise is heading. And I do a little bit of overlapping because I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just dropping them in there for good measures. Now, those astute of you may have recognized that drop looks pretty darn good for the direction of my closest enemy ship, which was the destroyer, and it just flipped over to the cruiser. Now, at this point, you'll start to realize that there are not just one cruiser, but two cruisers and the destroyer in that cap. So the fact that our destroyer is kind of sitting there contesting, while I respect the charge, I gotta say it's not in your best interest, brother man. Both of the enemy cruisers and an unknown assailant are in the cap. Okay? Get out of there. That is a Bortos and a Boise. That is death. And it turns out the last thing that was in there is a Friesland. And guess what? I check over my shoulders and I look at the enemy. I knew I hit the Boise with one, but somebody else ate two. We don't know who that was. Well, by looking over my shoulder, Bortos is full health, meaning the destroyer, the Friesland, ended up eating a torpedo or two. But notice that he barely took any damage, so he must have taken it right on the snoot or something. But that's unfortunate, to say the least. But the next thing we can do, we can't do anything against a Friesland Bortos Boise, alright? That is death for me. There's nothing I can do with that. So rather than playing around and going in there and trying to make something happen and pull off a miracle, we just get the fuck out. GTFO. Run away. Okay? That allows us to set up a nasty torp strike on this New Jersey. We go ahead and stack the torpedoes. Again, I don't normally stack torpedoes, but this guy, other than being spotted right now, has no reason to believe, or no reason to fear, a destroyer this far back, this early in the game. Except that I have not stopped, and I've just charged straight across, and now he is about to get a rude awakening that there is, in fact, a destroyer right here on top of him as he eats 1, 2, 3 torps. Not bad. Half of the torpedoes we sent in that direction landed, doing their damage. But do you see who I'm aiming for right now? Yeah, we already know where this is going. Alright, I have to get rid of this carrier. Alright, and I cannot play around. You'll notice that I've already turned my AA and secondaries off. Why did I do that, do you think? Because I don't want him to launch some planes and just randomly end up with, like, seeing my AA go off early, and then he can harass me all the way to him. I don't want him to see me until he can see me. Does that make sense? But Lexington, on the other hand, this guy's not that aware. Remember what I said about being aware? Yeah, this is your textbook carrier captain. He is not used to having anybody messing with him this early in the game, and while he did reverse, he recognized he was spotted, he reversed, and now he's going forward. He's going to pin himself in, and we're going to end up torping this guy, preferably into oblivion, but we're actually going to screw it up. I don't know why. I kind of screwed a pooch here, guys. And I take far more damage than I should from this carrier's secondaries. Watch this. As we end up opening up the angle to go for the kill, look at this damage. Like, these secondaries are nasty. These are the American 5-inch 38s, but you can see he starts reversing, so I go ahead and launch right at the ship, but just behind. And he actually goes back forward that quickly. And here you can find out that I just found out that we do not have armor piercing. So as his secondaries start to do some damage, we're gonna try to kill him, but we have to shoot high up on the ship. We don't want to shatter. You can see his secondaries are nasty. They are very accurate for a carrier, especially. But we're just gonna go ahead and try to finish him off. You can see I do use the smoke and the radar, but I kind of screwed the pooch on that as well. Didn't get a chance to cheese it, unfortunately. And then I didn't look at where those shells landed, so I kind of lost where I needed to shoot. I know he's a one-shot kill, but where is he? And I don't know if you noticed, but we are at 96,000 damage already. We've taken all of the health off the carrier. We took half the health off the New Jersey. We have taken, you know, health off of one of the cruisers and the Friesland. So we have done a pretty solid job for what it is. And of course, the last secondary he fires gets a fire. Is that not a joke? Like, God bless America, man. But don't worry, I make plenty more mistakes before this one's up. But we don't piddle fart around. You can see the enemy is going straight for our cap, so I need to do the same. I need to get in here and get this cap. But notice where our direction finder is pointing. You see that little semicircle there kind of pointing off towards the top right of the screen? That's telling me where the closest enemy ship is. For those of you who don't know, that's the radio direction finding, RDF, or radio position finding, RPF, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing. It points in the direction of the closest ship. So we know, roughly, that there's somebody coming after us because it just changed And it goes based on the grid square that they're in currently. Okay? So keep that in mind as well. It is the grid square that they're currently in that it points to. It doesn't point directly to the ship. It's close, but anyway, we dropped some little sea mines off at the pool to make sure that we catch and oh look, it's a gunboat Friesland. Now, I don't have a lot of hit points, but neither does he. And at this point, I have a lot of guns pointed at him, and I have every advantage because I am a concealment build. A lot of people harp on the fact that I run concealment all the time, but I'm telling you, man, getting the drop on people in situations like this is a big deal. I mean, we took 0 damage in this fight. 0 against a Friesland. That's huge. All right? We have played basically the perfect game for this match so far. We are going to go ahead and turn around, and here's this horrendous turning circle. Like, this thing just drifts, man. So I have to actually slow down to try to turn in a little bit, and then we speed back up. Now, as I start pointing myself back, I can't afford to rest on my laurels here, folks. We're losing, right? And they just captured another base, but I'm right behind them capturing another base. So we have kept the points relatively even. As long as our team doesn't do something stupid like sit in the goddamn spawn when you know they're in front of you and get yourself killed, Shokaku. You had one job. Don't do that. Did you not just see what happened to the other carrier? But I digress. Carrier players, can we say any more? Now, I know there's a few of you out there that are going to go, Spartan, I play carriers, and I enjoy them. I'm pretty good, too. I sank you once. Jess. I don't, anyway. But as you're about to see, I can't play around. I have to do what I got to do. We're at 11 kilometers. I need to start trying to shoot this New Jersey, but I also need to start making my way over towards that cap, right? I want to put myself in a good position to get rid of this New Jersey. If I can get them on fire, that would be ideal. But I've hit a lot of shells in this fight. I've only gotten one fire. And this is going to be a theme for this match. We are going to struggle to set fires to try to get like any sort of damage over time going. But like I said, not the most accurate guns in the world, as you'll see them kind of like dancing around at times. But when they hit, they do significant amounts of damage. And they will tickle you to death. Alright? It may not hurt when this thing hits you. But by God, you will know if it stays hitting you. Okay? Kind of like, it's not quite as aggressive as, say, like the British light cruisers with their AP, where you get hit a couple of times, you're like, okay, whatever, and then all of a sudden it's just like unending hits where your health just starts to melt, and you're like, oh my God, what the hell? Exactly. That's what this thing is capable of, only it's HE. Not quite as powerful as the AP, but still. You will know if you let this thing continue to do what it's going to do. And we finally get a fire. So as we get that fire, of course he's going to try to put that out, right? He's not going to leave that fire going. Or maybe he will. I don't know. But, yep, there goes the damage con, putting out a single fire. Hope that doesn't come back and bite him in the butt later. Foreshadowing? Maybe. But this game is well out of hand at this point. We are losing ships one after another. Our Colorado goes down. Their ships are running away from me. I can't torp them. Remember, we have short-range torps. So I'm going to go in here and get into the cap. Staying away from those cruisers is a #1 priority for me because they will end my existence. Now, Gorizia ends up killing the Boise, which is huge. That at least gives us some hope for points in this one. And you'll see Benson comes up. Now, when Benson initially goes spotted, he's going to go dark, and I know at that point that he is smoked up, right? And you can see the smoke screen peeking over the top of the thing. Now, I thought I was still in the cap, so when you guys see what's about to happen, just remember that I thought I was in the cap, okay? Again, being aware is a big deal, and I kind of screwed the pooch, and you'll see that I just screwed the pooch again by using my smoke screen a little earlier than I should have, but I digress. Didn't quite get a chance to use it for what it was, but he's going to go dark just in time for my last salvo, and the last salvo was true. Now here, I start farming damage off of the New Jersey, hoping that my teammates can help get rid of him. That will give us the points lead, again, with both teams having the same amount of caps, and then it's about this point that I realize that I am not in the cap, as the board toss goes down, and that is huge. The fact that our Blizzy takes out the board toss there gives us a chance, right? If that didn't happen, we simply lose this fight. There's nothing we can do. But again, at this point, I should have been in the cap. The cap would have been captured probably by now. And this game would be a simple matter of running away and staying alive. Unfortunately, we lost our Gorizia too. And this New Jersey that's left, our Blizzy gets a little too close for comfort. He tries to torque this guy. Remember, we already got a fire on him. You can see I'm getting into the cap, but Blizzy, he screws the pooch. After being the hero of killing the Bortos with his torpedoes, he screws the pooch. And at this point, I know that I must kill him. There is less than 3 minutes to go. It's going to take about 1.5 minutes to capture the base. So I can't sit here, capture the base, and then hope that we get enough points to win. We simply won't gain points fast enough to pull that off. So I have to kill this New Jersey. This New Jersey currently has about 20,000 hit points, and that's not including if he has a heal. So we have to gun down a battleship in under 3 minutes with a destroyer that fires HE only. Good luck, Sunshine. But New Jersey, whether it's his fault or not, or if it's just the fact that I'm engaging from 10 kilometers, and any movement that I make is going to allow me to pretty much dodge him at any point. But I've got to keep all these guns cycling as much as possible. I've got 8,500 hit points. He could potentially kill me with a single shot if he gets a really good accurate salvo. But in order to do that, he would have to turn full broadside, fire an entire broadside at me, as we just continue to whittle him away. Every shell that hits is doing 330 damage to his superstructure. And you can see it. Every shell that hits, 330 damage, 330 damage, 330 damage. You'll see a 660 every once in a while. That's because 2 shells hit at the same time. But he's trying to wiggle, he's trying to get away. But unfortunately, Sunshine, I'm simply faster. You are not going to run away. Can you wiggle for the next 1.5 minutes to save yourself the trouble? Doubtful. You're in a battleship. You're not going to be that capable of dodging shells. Not at this range, anyway. But he does finally hit me with a shell, and you can see it's just a single overpin, so it does no real damage. And we continue as we've got the permafire rolling, finally. And we finally are able to take this man down. That was a fun battle. Maybe I should just be a destroyer main from here on, if that's what it takes to get good battles. But high caliber, 163,000 damage, 4 kills, 3,570 base XP. Don't call it a comeback. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are you liking the new Pan-Euro destroyers? I kind of think they're a little good. I kind of like them, I ain't gonna lie. Let me know what you guys think, and if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.